So, the IQ by Iulian o Dorojan is available for 120 euros. It is a hybrid. It's a pretty cool looking hybrid too. It's a little baby hybrid. It's a wee tiny hybrid. You also get a 510 cap with it. Or you can get a 510 cap with it. I chose not to. You can also get additional tubes. I got an extra tube. I got an 18650 tube with it. It comes with an extra Pyrex tank as well, which is really good because they're super friggin' thin. And it also comes with, you know, some extra screw and washer for plugging the fill hole and so on. So, it is 100% stainless steel. It has a PCB switch. It has an electronic switch in it, which offers some protection, like short circuit protection, reverse battery protection, that type of thing. You can get the switch in different colors. I hope that you guys will be able to see this. Hold on. I'm going to show this. I'm going to fire this. See that? It's green. So I got a little green LED in my switch. Neato, huh? You can get it in different colors too. It's 20 millimeter outside diameter, weighs about 100 grams. It's got a single 1 millimeter air hole. It has a threaded top cap, stainless steel tank sleeve, which is a nice feature, and I'll talk about why in a moment. Pyrex tank, and the switch can handle up to 7 amps, which isn't high, but with this device, you only have the ability to set it up with a single coil, and because it is so small and compact and has the tight top chamber and the small air hole, you don't want to go too low ohm with it anyway. I'll talk about that here in a moment. So I think that the 7 amp limit is actually much more than enough for this device, personally. So, I showed you what it comes with already. We talked about the dimensions. What does it look like? It's very interesting. So it's got this media blasted finish on the bottom. Then you have your vent hole on the bottom of the tube. Then you have your little switch right here that I showed you. Mine's a little green. Green switch. Whee! And then it's got a little engraving on the other side as well that shows you, or that's the name of the device, IQ number 35, and then the name of the modder, Iulian o Dorojan. So, it also has this tank sleeve around the glass tank, which is awesome. And then you have this kind of ribbed, threaded top cap on here as well, as you can see. So, let me take a vape on it, and then we'll talk some more. It's another one of those pinkies up mods. So, the internals, the device has a spring, so you don't have to worry about adjusting. The nice thing about this spring is it is a silver spring, or silver-plated spring, for very good conductivity. Typically, I don't like springs, but a silver-plated spring, you're not going to get a lot of voltage loss from that, so not a huge deal. Like I said, the standard size is an 18350 battery, which I have here. I've got the standard. And if you look on the inside there, that's actually the switch. That's the electronics right there. So we're not going to get in, we're not going to rip that apart and show that to you. Just because I don't want to mess around with those and potentially get juice on them or what have you. So that is what it looks like on the inside of the tube and the bottom cap. The switch actually reminds me a lot of a Provari switch. It has that kind of same similar feel to it. The threading on it is actually nice and smooth. I did have a little bit of machining debris on the threading when I got it, and there was a little bit of machine oil. I just took a paper towel, actually, and I wiped out the inside, and I wiped out the threads on the bottom cap. And after that, it was fine, and it was actually very smooth, nice threading. So there weren't any burrs or anything, but it just was the threading was a little bit dirty, which I wasn't really too happy with. But you know, like I said, there wasn't an actual issue with the device there, so that's fine. Under the top cap, now, like I said, this is a screw top. Couple things we'll talk about. And there we go. So like I said, you can only set this up as a single coil. There are no other options here. You have a single coil addy deck. Let me take off autofocus one moment. So you have a single coil setup here, and that is the only option for the setup. 2 Phillips head screwdrivers and some washers. You also have a juice flow, a juice fill hole there. That's also going to help out with the the wicking as well. That's why you want to keep it open. Hold on a sec. There's one thing I do want to mention real quick. I actually, when it came set up, well, it didn't come set up with the wick set up, but when I got it, there was a little washer, and I have it right here. I mean, I don't really need to show you the little washer, but I will anyway. So there was this little washer underneath the negative post, this little guy right here. And it was underneath the negative screw, and I'm not really sure what the purpose of it was, but it overlapped the wick hole a little bit, no matter how far I pushed it to the side. And I had to remove it because it was interfering with the wick. So I'm not really sure what the purpose of that was, but I took it off and I haven't had any issues since. So I thought that was a little odd. And then, you know, you've got the wick there. Like I said, I've got this set up with a flat ribbon Canthal, right around 1 ohm or so. So that's good. And then underneath the top cap, it's very small. It's a nice tight chamber in there, as you can see. It's a screw on top, fits down pretty tight. So you're going to get a lot of flavor because it's not a reduced chamber, but it doesn't need to be because it's a very narrow. It's a very narrow diameter on the inside there. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Probably 16 mil. So yeah. And then, hold on a sec, autofocus off. And then it's a screw on, and you can see, if you look inside the little lip there, there's actually a little O-ring. So when you screw this on, the O-ring will prevent juice from leaking down the threading into the tank protector. And it'll also help get you a snug fit so that you can line the wick up with the air hole, which is what you want to do, obviously. And a lot of times when you have the threaded top caps, it doesn't always line up perfectly, but that O-ring allows you to line it up nice and perfect. So, yeah. And you have this tank sleeve here, which is really nice. The reason why I like that this has this tank sleeve is the Pyrex on this guy. I don't know if you can see just how thin that Pyrex is, but it's very, very thin and very fragile. You have to be really careful when taking the tank off. The Fine hybrid that he made was the same way. So the tank sleeve on that I really appreciate, because if you drop this thing, that tank is going to shatter if it didn't have a tank sleeve on it. So the tank sleeve, I think, is a very good feature. So let's take a vape. It's got really, really good flavor. The vapor production's good. The top cap's nice and tight. Like I said, it's got a tight draw. It's a little tighter than I typically like, but the flavor is really, really good, which is the most important thing in my opinion. It's warm. It's got good flavor. That's the most important thing with an atomizer. Because it does have a small wick hole, I found that it doesn't wick great. It wicks good enough. But if you're going to go low-ish ohm, I wouldn't recommend going below 1 ohm on this. You don't really need to because it's such a tight chamber and it's got such good flavor anyway. But if you want to go below 1 ohm, I wouldn't recommend it because it doesn't wick fantastic. And you can't, I wasn't able to take like a real long drag. I found that the wick just couldn't quite keep up. And I did try a few different setups. I do know how to make a wick. I did a hollow wick. I did a solid wick. I actually did a hybrid cable and mesh wick. And I got about the same results from all of them, just not quite wicking fast enough. But still, I like the device. And the flavor from it is fantastic. So, that's great, obviously. And most important thing, like I said, it's nice and warm, nice and flavorful, so that's really good. And it's nice and compact. I like it. It's a good device. There's a couple things I don't love about it. I don't love the spring, but I don't think it's affecting the performance. The Pyrex tank is a little bit thin, but it does have a tank protector to compensate for that. The electronics, something that I'm generally wary of. I know it's there for protection's sake, but just it's something that can fail. With a mechanical device, you don't have anything that can fail, really. Other than O-rings, which you can replace. So I don't love that. Doesn't quite wick as fast as I would like. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend it for a low ohm vapor. But if you're going to be 1 ohm or higher, I think it's fine. I can still take a pretty long drag. You just can't go crazy, drag and pull with it. So here, let me take another drag for you just so you see what I'm talking about. So it's still a pretty long drag, but you just can't go crazy with it and take one of these 10-15 second drags on it. For me, it just didn't quite keep up. So that's the IQ. I like it. I do give it a thumbs up. I think it's a good device. It's pretty reasonably priced. It's still a higher end mod. It's not cheap, but it's reasonably priced for what it is, and it's good quality, and you get a really good vape from it. And you do have some options for to improve the battery life if you want to get a 650 tube or a 500 tube for it. You can. So there you have it.